And so I walked on the set, and there's Sid. And I looked at Sid, and I thought, God, this guy's one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen. And it was at that moment I realized, oh, I'm in love with him. And it was Sid's reaction, because if you remember, I walk around behind him, and I put my hand on his shoulder. And Sid's reaction was the thing. The way, completely sold it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Trek Untold, the Star Trek podcast that goes beyond the stars. I am your host, Matthew Kaplowitz, and I know that it's been a while, but that's because I've been a little preoccupied for the last few months with a bunch of things going on. And that pertains to what we're going to be doing in today's episode, and really the next few episodes you're going to be checking out on this channel. For the past 2 years, I have been the program director for Trek Long Island, which is a fan-run Star Trek convention in New York. It's a role that I kind of sort of fell into ultimately, maybe that's a story for a different day of how I got involved with them, but needless to say, I am quite deeply involved now with Trek Long Island. This is my second year being a part of the show, really third year being an attendee, but second year as part of the crew. And it's been quite a journey, and I've been pretty busy helping to put the show together. Among the responsibilities I have as program director, they include scheduling the panels for the main stage, for the B room, for the podcasters, bringing in different podcasters from different shows to be a part of the event, scheduling photo ops, making sure they don't conflict with other things that are happening, and a bunch of other stuff that, again, a whole other episode we can talk about maybe another time closer to Trek Long Island number 4. We'll get to that maybe in about a year or so, though. But as far as I'm doing it this year, and for you guys who are watching now on Trek Untold, I am bringing you my panels from the event. And I was part of 3 panels, and hopefully we'll air all 3 of them. I've got 2 of them that have really good audio, because I was lucky to be plugged into the soundboard. And I got one that's not so good, and I'm trying to play with it. So today what we're going to be checking out is my first panel, which was from Saturday afternoon. And that was my DS9 panel with Andrew Robinson and Terry Farrell. So I got to be on the stage with Jadzia Dax and with Garrick for an hour, and it was a pretty surreal experience. I can't even lie about that part. What made it more surreal was the random fire alarms going off in the building during Trek Long Island 3. And this is not a problem of the showrunners or anything like that. This was kind of just an issue with the hotel itself. We had a whole bunch of crazy things happening, and I know I've said this now 3 times, and this is the 3rd time here, but that's going to be a whole different episode because, man, I'd love to tell you guys what it's like to be part of running a convention from the inside, and I'm going to, and we're going to wait a few more months before that happens and kind of let the statute of limitations fall on some of these things that went on first. But as far as my conversation with Terry and with Andrew Robinson, this was really awesome here. It was basically one part me chatting with them and then one part audience interaction where everybody who was attending the show got to ask their questions. And it was a packed house. It was sold out, essentially, for lack of a better term. It was standing room only. The room itself fit about 250 people in the seats, but there was people standing across the aisles and the ends and stuff. So we had a really jam-packed house, really awesome audience who had some really amazing questions to ask. And we just had a lot of fun. There was a lot of laughs. There was even some tears along the way. So we covered a lot that went far beyond the stars, as you DS9 fans will know. So that's what this episode is going to be today, a little look at that panel. And mind you, there will be a brief pause during that panel because, as I mentioned, well, there was a fire alarm. And so brief little interruption in the very beginning, but once we get through that, things get rolling along, and they started going pretty smooth from that point. So just stick around and enjoy this very diverse conversation that covers a lot of topics, not only in the Star Trek world, but plenty of other things as well. And now the other panels you guys can look forward to listening to or watching very, very soon will be my other panel from Saturday, which was my Trek Toys panel, which was called Trek Toys Articulating the Final Frontier. And that was done with my friend Jonathan Alexandranos and my partner Andrea Levine. Andrea and I have had a YouTube channel for quite some time. It's my other channel that you might not know about called Nerd News Today. And back in 2016, Andrea and I started doing a series of Trek reviews called Trek Back Tuesdays, and we would get Star Trek action figures and kind of look at them and discuss them, the good, the bad, the ugly, and quite often there was a lot of ugly. And Jonathan is a toy expert, a playwright, a historian, and an educator, so we had a lot to talk about, and there's also some surprises along the way in that panel, but you'll have to wait for that one. And then the other panel we're going to be getting to as well very soon on this show was my conversation with Phil and Iona Morris. Now, if you're a longtime fan of Trek Untold, you might recognize those names because they were some of my earliest guests on this show. Iona was episode 6, and Phil, I want to say, was about episode 20. So we're talking now 2020, 5 years ago. They were some of the earliest guests that helped me build this podcast to what it is now. And I got to have them on the stage to myself for an hour, and that conversation, whew, man, you want to talk about life-affirming? That's going to be their episode, but we're going to get to that soon. For now, let's go ahead and just dive in and enjoy my DS9 Spotlight panel with Terry Farrell and Andrew Robinson.
And I'm going to bring out your host for the next section. I was trying to come up with a joke. A Trill and a Tailor walk into a bar. But I couldn't finish that. So hopefully, please welcome Matt Kaplowitz from Trek Untold.
Good afternoon.
Oh, here, take this and we'll...
The quick brown fox jumps over Tarok Nor. Okay, we got a mic that works. We have one mic that works. Good afternoon, Trek Long Island. How we doing today? This is a full house today. Oh my goodness, the pressure is on. My name is Matthew Kaplowitz. I am the host of the Trek Untold podcast. It is an interview series where I talk to folks from the Star Trek universe, which includes actors, writers, directors, stunt people, VFX people, graphic designers, comic artists, writers, toy makers, pretty much everybody who has done anything in the Trek world. So, I do a lot of interviews, and I'm very excited today to do this because I've never chatted with these two folks we're bringing out today. We have some real amazing guests here. Are you guys ready to beam in our guests? All right, let's kick things off here. Let's beam in our first guest. You know her from Becker. She has been a paper doll. She has even gone back to school at Rodney Dangerfield. But to us Trekkies, she is your blood oath Klingon ride or die. She is Worf's Parma Kai. She is the Trill that was born to thrill. Please welcome Terry Farrell. All right, as I step on all of the cables, of course, first thing I do. All right. Standing room only today. Is that guy working yet? Should be good now.
Hello.
We're good.
Yay.
All right.
Hello.
And coming on in right now.
Thank
you know him from
so
Hellraiser.
much for coming out of the rain.
I'm going to do my quick intro. Andrew's already here, so I don't even need to do the intro. I'm going to do it anyway. You know him from Hellraiser. He's been torn to shreds in Hellraiser. He's been beaten up by Clint Eastwood in Dirty Harry. We got mic cables that are still stuck on my chair.
We're professionals.
We're faking it at least, yeah. Please welcome to the stage Andrew Robinson, the simple tailor from Star Trek DS9.
I think it's 6s and 7s.
This is hilarious. There's something to be said for cordless mics.
Yes, there is.
All right.
Maybe I won't bite. Do you want to move closer?
How much more space? You guys?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
We'll get some
It's
mic
fine.
feedback.
We'll make it.
So Terry, Andrew, welcome to Trek Long Island. Thank you guys for being here this weekend.
It's
This
a
is
pleasure.
amazing.
Yes.
With
you.
power outages and fire alarm drills and
Yes.
yeah,
It's been very
it's never
exciting.
a dull moment.
Has that happened before? Any previous cons you guys have been to?
No, actually,
What's that? What did you
No
know,
fires at other previous cons you've done?
no fires.
No
yeah.
fires.
No, we live in Los Angeles, so I
had
live in
enough of
Los
those.
Angeles.
Oh.
So
Well, we have enough fire issues.
yeah, yes.
I
indeed.
live in New Mexico, so it's kind of, yeah. I mean, I think our scariest thing is the chance of a fire. We have red alerts all the time.
Yeah.
And I just okay, how about we just go 100% red alert?
I feel like we are this weekend. Pretty much are, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, red flag. The red flag.
We don't want red flags here. No red flags here. Only
No
green
red flags. No,
No.
good.
So I got to ask you guys, because I've been going back, doing my homework, getting ready for this interview, and I feel like Garrick and Jadzia didn't really spend a lot of time together until maybe like season 6.
Right before I left.
Right before you left, yeah.
Right before you left, yeah. No, but we
That
really...
was the impetus for my exit.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Oh, dear.
Hey, do you guys have any memories of just hanging out on set, being around each other? Because I know there weren't really a lot of scenes until like season 6, but did you guys do much?
No, we always liked each other. I mean, we really did.
That's what I told
she
him.
she had a thing for old Cardassians, and I think that may have been one of the problems. But
I've always been a fan of his.
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
Always. And I was very excited when I got the part. And I remember coming up to you because I was in Hellraiser, and one of the reasons I wanted to do Hellraiser 3 was because of Andrew Robinson being in Hellraiser. So I was like super excited having this, double franchise working together.
I hate to cut you guys off, but we got another fire alarm.
No.
We will be back. We will be back, folks.
Oh, good. They're back.
Let's
This
try that
is
again.
getting old,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like coitus interruptus.
And
You can talk dirty in Latin because then the kids don't understand unless they had a special kind of upbringing. I'm going to stand. I'm going to stand.
Once?
I don't know. You
Let's
can
all
sit.
stand and just be in a
Smoked
state of constant
once?
anxiety. Why don't we do
Do
that?
I what?
Have you even smelled smoke?
No, there's no
once?
smoke. There's no smoke. There's no fire. It's just somebody is.
Well, they want us to get our
The
steps
gremlins. The gremlins. All right. Yes.
Shall we try this again?
Let's try it again.
All right. I was going someplace with this whole thing going, so I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit here because I want to make sure we got time for our audience to get their questions because we've got a lot of them today.
Oh, let's
good.
jump in.
Jump in? Let's
I'm going to stand because
let's jump in.
my
I got
ass
two things
is-
for you guys.
You
We'll
do
go right
what
to the
you
audience
need
Q&A, I
to
think.
do.
It happened last year, but different way. But all right. So I want to ask you guys about some merch. So I actually brought some merch today that I wanted to show you guys, which I'm sure you've seen before. Andrew, this is your action figure. You might remember that. And Terry, you got yourself your action figure as well. I'm just curious as a collector,
Yes.
what do you guys think of having a toys, and what do you think of your toys?
It's fucking awesome.
I mean, it is awesome. I have no idea what to say because I've never had
No.
a toy before, and and even as a child, I didn't have toys.
Yeah.
And
I had used
I
Barbie
know.
dolls.
It's sad, isn't it? It really is. But growing up in Hartford, Connecticut, without a Garrick toy is really.
John found the
man.
bathroom.
Oh my God, he's amazing. This is an amazing
Did he
man.
mean his penis or the bathroom?
What about a penis?
He finally found his penis.
Oh, he found his penis in the
I guess
bathroom?
so. Yeah.
Okay.
Good place to put it.
I have
It's a good place.
no responsibility for this. None whatsoever. Listen, okay. All right,
Yeah.
if you're going to sit,
So
I'll
on-
sit.
on the
There
topic
isn't
of
much
merch.
to add to that.
Come on. All right. Let's get this. Let's get this cracking. Let's get some fabulous questions from you so we can.
Can I get a panel once? It doesn't always talk about penises. It's like just a constant thing for me. I don't know what happens, but I want to ask you, Andrew, about Stitch in Time. So we're talking
Yes.
about some merchandise, and the book is amazing. It's definitely one of the top tier Star Trek books of all time. And I started to read about the history behind the book.
Thank you.
It's an amazing book. The audiobook as well is just stellar. But you started writing that book very early on when you got the role of Garrick, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, and some of you know this story. Basically, when I got hired to play Garrick, I was never in a science fiction thing. I never played an extraterrestrial. I had no idea what a Cardassian was. Please. And I thought, how do you do this? How do you play an extraterrestrial? And there's an actor trick or a thing that we do. I do anyway. That you write a biography for your character, and just to give yourself a little background, a little subtext, and then so I started making up the story about Garrick because nobody knew about Cardassia. I think in Next Generation there was David Warner and Mark Alimo in some scattered episodes, and that was it. So I had the freedom just to make up everything, which I did, and then I got hooked. I started getting hooked on, but it was the character I got hooked on. I got the idea of this person in exile who has a subtext, who's a mystery, who pretends to be a tailor but is really something else. And I love that. And as I started playing more episodes of the character, I got deeper into it. And then finally, the book came out. I wrote the book finally, because I started out with conventions like this, where it started out as a diary and Garrick's memoirs, and then I would do this at conventions rather than talk about how long it took to put my makeup on. And then as it grew, one day I decided write the book. And so I took about an incredibly short amount of time to write it. And I'm not a fast writer. It usually takes me a long time to put something together. But it's something that I'm very proud of. I love the book. I really do. And it's based on, there's this French woman, Marguerite Yourcenar, who wrote Memoirs of Hadrian, which is a book that I loved very much. And I basically took the form of the book as a memoir from it was her idea. I mean, I
like the outline.
Yeah, no, the whole thing of someone who is like the whole thing.
So,
and
I mean, the structure is very unique for a book, especially it jumps around from the past to modern to all over. It's really brilliant the way it's done. Yeah. And guys, kind of jump now over to you, Terry, as well. I want to talk about another piece of paper memorabilia, if you will, because in the summer of '97, you were the cover model for Transgender Tapestry magazine. A lot of folks may not know that. Is Terry maybe here the first time?
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. I know.
I'm impressed.
It was actually a story that was written by Bijou Trimble, who we all know, one of the luminaries of Trek fandom. And it was an article kind of exploring the sexuality of Star Trek in 1997. And so I'm curious to get your take on that. I guess you didn't know about that, but I'm kind of curious now. 1997, you're playing this character, and the idea of sexuality in 1997 is different from what it is today in 2025. And this is a very DEI-forward convention here. So I'm kind of curious to know, how did you feel about the character of Jadzia Dax, and did you kind of identify with the transgender idea that the character was having as part of her?
As for the transgender, I think that fits because she was a man and Dax, the symbiont, was in a man and a woman. But from what I understand, or at least for Jadzia, I don't think there was any sexual identification that was different than what the worm was actually in, because the Dax symbiont was malleable to whatever the preference of the humanoid body. Sorry, it's like I got to think for a minute. It's been a minute. 97 was a while ago.
Listen, don't I? Why are you looking at me?
But I'm honored. I'm so honored that I can be the poster child for anybody that has diversity in their life or moving forward to finding their complete expression of who they are and how they identify, right? Thank you. Honestly, my honor. But I really love the idea of that we didn't have the word pansexual back then, and that I think that's how Jadzia moved through the world. I think she had a very broad-minded, not labeling, I find you curious and interesting and let's go play together. I think that was the way she moved through the world.
I think what's kind of cool about this panel, too, is we have two folks who are essentially Star Trek LGBTQ icons with their characters. You got Jadzia.
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
It's kind of cool, yeah.
We'll never work for the Trump administration. You know that, don't you?
Do you really want to?
I would...
Nope. But if I hear a drone in my neighborhood, I think, oh, God, they're going to bomb me. And then I'm like, wait, you don't really matter to them. I'm sure they don't watch Star Trek.
I mean, they barely know how to read, so.
Oh, there's that. And they've never been in a grocery store. And we're using the word they very loosely, but about a specific person.
All right, that's it. I'm sorry I brought that up.
So I think what we're going to start doing
But
right
you
now
did.
is let's start lining up folks for some Q&A now. And Melissa, our stage manager, she's going to have a mic. She's right there. Say hi already to Melissa.
Yay!
And we have a microphone, I guess, over here. So if anybody wants to come ask a question, let's line up down here. Nice, orderly fashion, please. Just 2 people? I'm shocked. All right, here we go. We got some people now. All right,
Yay!
and we do have a packed house today, so I do just ask folks to be courteous and concise with your questions, because a lot of folks, we want to get to as many of them as we possibly can today.
Garrick is absolutely in my top 2 or 3 favorite characters of all time. If there's a Garrick episode, I'm absolutely watching it. If there's a Q episode, I'm absolutely watching it. So you, while other characters are more indelible and known, you are absolutely the character who I will always radiate to and immediately want to watch and see you interact with other people, because I love your sarcasm, I love your straight talk, your wit, everything about it. So I just want to tell you that I really appreciate your character a lot, and I really love it. And I've rewatched DS9 maybe 6 or 7 times, so and it's mainly for that purpose.
No, thank you. And it's a tribute to the writers. You know, the best thing that can happen to an actor is when in a show like Deep Space Nine is when the writers fall in love with the character that they've created, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and they write you so well because
No,
of it.
absolutely.
And for Terry, I really enjoy listening to you on Delta Flyers. I love when you're on the episodes and you really give your take and your experience of the episodes that you've been on. So what I know that you weren't in the beginning. Obviously, they're rewatching it. Is it weird to rewatch something that you feel like you should remember, but you don't because it was so long ago? So you see the episode again, and you say all the time, "Oh, I don't even remember doing this," or "I don't even remember that this happened." Is it weird to see yourself doing something for real, but not even remembering that you did it?
You know what? I think I'm kind of used to it. Well, because I started out modeling, and I'd see it, even within a year's time, there are pictures you go, I don't even remember doing this. But you're so busy in the doing that you're not trying to remember the experience, right? It's just part of what your job is. And I think maybe that we wore uniforms too. We basically wore the same outfit. So it's sort of like, I know this is the most simplistic way of putting it, but you flush the toilet all the time. Haven't there been times where you've thought, did I flush the toilet? Or
Happened this morning.
Or similarly, did I forget to turn off the coffee machine before the Keurig world? I mean, there's like that. When you have that kind of repetition, I think it becomes so normal that there are things that stand out, but they're the things that are extraordinary. Like, we'll probably remember this convention better because of how many times we've had to get up and go outside. Yeah.
Oh, the fire convention, that one.
Yeah, the fire convention. Or the chiller convention where the police officer got stabbed right in front of my eyes a couple of years ago. That was crazy. So, but they stand out to you not because they're, better, just because it's different. So is it weird? It's weirder to look back, watch it and go, look, oh my God, that's me? It doesn't look like me anymore. So that's kind of an odd feeling. That's not me today. But you can be more forgiving to yourself. So if I could gift anything to everybody in the room, it would be able to watch themselves decades earlier when maybe you were harder on yourself, because you can have the gift of loving yourself better and going, oh, look, I was trying my best. Why was I so hard on myself? Right?
All right, thank you. Next question, please.
Hi. Andrew, Garrick had a very distinct speaking style, distinct dialect and cadence. I just was curious how you came up with that afflection.
Very simply, when they put the makeup on me the first time and they put the costume on me, it was excruciating. It was very hard. I'm claustrophobic, and I thought I was going to die. And I really thought, I won't. It's a really vulgar expression I won't use. But I was seriously calling my agent and saying, how can I get out of this? And then I saw when it was all done, I saw myself in the mirror, and that was it.
Wow, so it just came to you.
It just came to me, yeah. Amazing. It was just, exactly.
Thank you.
You know, it's sort of an actor's. It's not vanity. It's like when you're searching for a character. Whenever you play something, you're searching for the character and what the character is, and it's the look of it. And I think maybe it was the first time when I got the character basically from the mirror.
All right, thank you. Next question, please.
This isn't a question, but I just wanted to tell Terry that the fact that you said that you think that Jadzia is pansexual really resonated with me, because I'm pansexual myself, and her character really helped me feel more comfortable about my sexuality.
I'm so happy for that.
Yeah, and I have a question for Andrew. Yeah, you mentioned that you're claustrophobic. There's a lot of episodes where Garrick, that's incorporated into Garrick's character. How did you dig into your own claustrophobia in those episodes?
How did I like digging into my own claustrophobia on camera? I fucking hated it. Quite honestly. And I think it was a dirty trick. On the part of the writers. Hey, he's claustrophobic. Let's put him into a really tight space, And especially that one thing when we're in the Jem Hadar prison. It really was awful. It was awful. I don't even know how they got a camera in where I was.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Great question.
Hi, my name is Taryn. I have a question for Andrew Robinson. In the episode Body Parts, where Quark hires Garrick to kill him, and he wants it to be a surprise, he doesn't want to know what's going to happen, Garrick is like, absolutely, you'll never see it coming. And then Quark obviously becomes super paranoid. And we never actually do get to see what Garrick had planned. Were there any, behind-the-scenes ideas or anything that you think that he might have had planned? I've always wondered.
Oh, God.
You just won the convention. That's the best question.
That's right. Poison. But what he was serving in his bar was poison anyway. So so he was immune to it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. I wanted to ask both of you, but Terry specifically. I work with a lot of STEM people. We have a great STEM track at this convention, courtesy of Adina and my other friends at NASA. We are facing a very difficult time for women in STEM, and especially the NASA budget was released yesterday with all of these massive cuts. And I wanted to have your thoughts and also maybe something to say to bolster the scientific community, because I think we really need that right now.
No pressure, though. No pressure.
No pressure.
Are you so happy it's specifically towards me? Could you help me? Help me.
Andy can help you. You don't have to put all the spotlight on Terry.
It's so hard to dive into what's happening right now because it's so many things that are so vital to so many people's lives.
It's a crime.
Yes.
It's a crime scene.
100%.
That's going on. And it is and we have to resist it. I mean, it's beyond fucking politics. Politics has nothing to do with it. It's about humanity, and it's about caring for ourselves and each other. It really is. I'm stunned. I'm 83 years old, and I never thought I would live to see this day. Where it's like entire groups of people are just being cut off and allowed to just suffer, and die.
Yeah.
And it's going to get worse.
Before it gets better.
Before it gets better.
Yep.
Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you for the representation that you've brought to Star Trek, and I know that everyone in the science community is still looking at Star Trek every night and feeling better hopeful for the future, so thank you.
Let's just hang in there together. We're not alone.
Yep.
It's so emotional, though, because it's so devastating. I can't help it because I'm by myself, and I'm out there in New Mexico, and I have people working on my house that are terrified. They're going to be sent back to places where their lives are in danger. And you want to be able to, can everybody fit in my house? It's just a tiny house. It just is crazy. It's crazy. It's so crazy. My grandfather fought in World War II and helped liberate one of the first concentration camps. And sometimes it just feels like we're so close to that. I don't understand what's happening. It's terrifying.
But we will persevere somehow, all together.
Yeah.
Anybody got a joke?
All right, next question, please. They get evacuated for a fire drill. That's the punchline.
Hopefully a slightly more lighthearted question, but thinking about hope, and I was thinking a lot about your wonderful guest appearance on Lower Decks, and also with Jolene Blalock coming back to reprise to Paul, and kind of, I think, getting a little bit of justice for some of the women in Star Trek who had not been treated so great in their original runs by maybe unnamed persons. But I was wondering, so we got a chance to have a little bit of Garak and Bashir that so many people had wanted that couldn't really happen. And we got to see T'Pol in the Star Trek uniform. If Jadzia could make some kind of appearance like that, where you got a little bit of closure or justice for the character in a way you couldn't have in the 90s, what would you want that to be?
That was an easy question, by the way. They get harder from here.
I feel empowered now. What would that be? Or what would that look like? I don't know. I guess the fantasy I've always had is that I somehow, was cloned. But then, as I've aged and that has moved along home, that's not going to work. It just is what it is. So then I thought, I know. We're rewatching it on, obviously, on Delta Flyers. There was an episode where I mentioned, in an episode, John Glover comes to steal my symbiont. And I talked about how my sister didn't make it. And I was like, I'm my sister. Then I can be my age. I can be my age and be my sister, and she's my twin sister. But what would I do for... Well, is Gul Dukat alive? Because, that was kind of a shitty way that he killed me. So I'd like to come back and just tear that motherfucker apart.
I think we'd all like to see that.
Garak would approve.
Next question,
and
please.
And Garrett will help me.
Absolutely.
And we can't wait to see that happen.
Hi. I just wanted to quickly say, both of you guys, such an inspiration to me personally, and so affirming of me and just my life and my person, and just thank you for all your work. For Andy, I know a lot of Stitch in Time was, with the claustrophobia and everything, influenced by your own life in a lot of different ways. Could you elaborate on that at all, or tell us exactly where and when that hit the hardest for you?
Yeah, that the whole thing. Well, certainly at the beginning of the book, when Garak is in that school, Bamaran, I went to the school in Rhode Island because I was living in Connecticut. My father was killed in the war, in the Second World War. My mother kind of went crazy, and I was taken. The state took me away from my mother and sent me to the school, and it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me because it really was. Being taken away, not all of it, but going to the school, and the school was very structured and it was very kind. and that was their job. It's the kind of school that does not exist anymore. It was run by the New England, Episcopal Charities, and it was for kids for broken homes and worse, and their job was really to help put us together, give us some help us find some confidence, to find our way and to put us out into the world as good citizens, and it was really very important, and so that was the beginning. That very much is in the beginning of the book. Right. The feeling of, obviously, I mean, not literally, but that was right. The emotional part of it. Yeah, and I love that part of the book. Yeah.
Me as well. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. So I just want to say, and with all the great Star Trek shows that there have been, Deep Space Nine to me personally is beyond my favorite. I mean, brilliantly done. There's a lot of complexities in the storyline, relationships, be it Quark and Odo, and Garrick and Dukat. That the conflicts and relationships, I think, really made that show stand out special. I'll watch it over and over all these years later. And it's a great tribute to you, the writers, the production staff, and I just want to say thank you for that, number one. But the question that I've got for you is, are there any specific relationships or characters that you think really stood out in the storylines where if you didn't have them in the Deep Space Nine storyline, it would have made a big difference?
No, not for me. I mean, because, again, I was not a regular. I was just in 39 episodes. So it was like...
Your presence was there.
No, and as I say, the writers wrote beautifully for him. So there was only really... The only episodes I really didn't care for were with that alternate universe thing.
Mirror...
Yeah, because then that was like then Garrick. I was playing Garrick like I've played, because back in the 70s and the 80s, I played those characters all the time, and it was so boring. Yeah. But the thing about Garrick was that I had dimension, and he was a loner. And that was also the other thing. I think it's funny. This is the first time I'm kind of verbalizing this. But I think because of my upbringing, I was always a loner. I was very careful about my relationships with people, and I kept my own business, together. And that was probably the emotional relationship that I had to Garrick. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you once again for the great work you did on Deep Space Nine.
Thank you.
Well done.
We made it work.
Yes, I just want to make sure it's not going to fall down.
I like that you made a meal out of it.
I just don't want to break stuff, that would be bad. This question is for Mr. Robinson. In 2020, I discovered that Alexander Siddig was doing a Zoom-only DS9 story, and I watched it, and my heart. I really enjoyed that, and I was wondering how that came about for you.
The COVID, I mean, what she mentions that Siddig and his fan club, and he organized, the readings that we did and getting together, and it was because of the COVID, and people were, it was really nice because it brought a bunch of people all over the world together, which was great, and that's Sid. Sid did that.
And how was it revisiting your character?
How has it what?
How was it revisiting your character?
Oh, it was different. It was because it was more like somebody earlier today said it was like a radio play. It was radio play, and back and when I was a kid, I loved the radio. The radio was my thing, and radio plays were and it was and doing it was very different, so different. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. You can adjust that if you'd like.
Thank you for coming to Long Island. So obviously Star Trek fans have been making characters gay since before it was cool. So Andrew, for you with Bashir and Garrick, how did you see the evolution of them? What was your original conception of them as characters, and how have you seen them grown, and how do you feel about that sort of evolution?
Well, I feel good about that because it's because of Siddig that I got the job. Because I got the job, it was a one-off, but they were looking for a storyline for Sid's character. Sid was a regular, and so they realized that they had nothing for Sid. Everybody else sort of was plugged into what was going on. So I didn't know it at the time, but they created this character, Garrick, as this older spy sort of person, and to see if that relationship would work out. And there's one moment in that very first episode, I'm convinced that this is, when I say it's because of Sid, we never met before I walked on set in full makeup for that very first scene. And so I walked on the set, and there's Sid, and I looked at Sid, and I thought, God, this guy's one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen. And it was at that moment I realized, I'm in love with him. And it was Sid's reaction, because if you remember, I walk around behind him, and I put my hand on his shoulder. And Sid's reaction was the thing. The way completely sold it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's so wonderful to meet you both. I'm just huge fans of both of your characters. This is kind of, I guess, a follow-up question, but I know that you've talked about before there being some pushback in terms of having your character be, shown in a more LGBTQ kind of light, especially in the writing and the adding other love interests and things. And I was just wondering for both of you actually how you faced the pushback and how you kind of persevered through it, and if you have anything to say for people who are kind of facing that pushback now and persevering through it.
I think the biggest pushback that I recall was doing Rejoined, and Avery directing it and making sure that the kiss was in a single shot. So she comes in the door, we move to the window, we kiss, and pulled back. So he wanted to make certain that the studio couldn't cut and make the kiss brief.
Dear Avery, he was a canny man. He was a very canny man. Probably the most famous line that I have, arguably, in the show was never tell the same lie twice. And so we're doing that scene, and Avery, and I get to that, and I'm standing there and talking to Sid, and it's a two-shot. And so I stand there and I say the line to him, and Avery said, cut, wait a minute. He says, walk away when you say that. And I knew immediately what he meant. And so and the line so works better as I'm walking away, say, just never tell the same lie twice. And then the camera is left on Sid, digesting that. That has nothing to do with what you just asked, but that's okay.
It's still a fun story.
The pushback. The thing is that you've got to consider the time, and it was Ira Bear, who's our esteemed showrunner, and I love Ira, and the one regret that he has is that he did not push harder to follow up, on that area.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi. So first, a quick thing. Speaking of the action figures, I did actually bring that Jadzia figure with me, but I believe she fell out of my pocket. So if anyone happens to see it, I would appreciate it. But the main question, kind of something that has been the topic of a lot of...
So you lost the action figure of Jadzia.
That must be...
We got it. A Star Trek
right.
miracle has happened today.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. Thank you.
Wow, aren't you glad you said that out
I am.
loud?
I'm so glad I got the courage to stand up and ask. But the main question I had, and kind of the topic of a lot of questions, is that especially something that struck me with the documentary recently was talking about how the format of Deep Space Nine really lends itself to being rediscovered by a younger audience. Like it doesn't. It has a very unique format for the time, and like with like streaming and everything, it's really accessible for people to get into it now. Like a whole new generation of fans. And I was wondering, like, also being an LGBT fan of the show, and like Jadzia meaning so much to me on the show, I was wondering, and also bringing up the Bija's famous article, that was there. Have you noticed any difference, like in interaction with fans? I like that these types of topics, like about identity, that maybe people didn't have the ability or courage to speak out about when the show was airing. Have you noticed more people being able to discuss that topic?
Absolutely. No question.
And, yeah, and just like anything else, I know it's been the topic of a lot of the questions, but just like anything else you have to say about like how much the show has meant to different generations of LGBT people.
I think it was sad when the show aired, when Rejoin aired, it was preempted, and people wrote in and called in and were angry that there wasn't a disclaimer at the beginning, because they were upset that they had to talk to their kids about same-sex relationships. Isn't it remarkable how much has changed in the way? It's crazy.
In some places.
Yes, absolutely. I think people have changed in how they come up. In the beginning came up, it was as if it were a secret that they found themselves, seeing themselves in the character of Jadzia. Now I feel like people feel more celebrated in their own lives, so they come up and they're excited to share it, but it's not a secret anymore. That to me feels like the bigger difference.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So I think we got time for you two guys, and then we're going to wrap it up. So all that stage is yours.
Awesome. Well, fortunately, most of the people have asked most of the questions that I had in mind. So I'm going to take my far afield question. So a lot of people, you're both amazing and very inspiring, and I adore you both. My question is for Andrew. So something that I really love about Garrick is that what he does in front, right, of all the things he does, is that he's a tailor. And he's a tailor in a world where you can synthesize items. He's making a physical thing where he is like ordering from various places, materials and stuff like that, and that all, like I read and loved the book, gave us kind of how he got started in doing that as, you know, his forward sort of thing. What is that like? Do people as a crafter, I just adore that there's a character that's taking the time to make in the future.
No, it's right. And he was, I always thought of Garrick as being an old-fashioned kind of guy. Mm-hmm. Honestly, and you see, the thing is, there's a couple of things. Obviously, I think they got the idea because of Jean Le Carré and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And that. And there's this Jewish tradition, and it's called Tikkun Olam, which means we have Jews in the audience. Great, which means putting back together what has been torn apart. And we're so much, and that's so important today. Mending relationships, mending our things that have been torn in our lives, and that's what and they didn't have. I don't think they had that in mind, but I did, and I think that's what one of the actions of Garrick was trying to mend his own life, and that's why he was on Deep Space Nine, to redeem himself.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Last question of the panel.
Hi, this is for both of you. Andrew, in the Looking for Love episode that you directed, did you get to choose the story? And then if you have some memories about that, and of course, Terry, that's a great episode.
You're looking for love in all the wrong places, right? What I remember that was the first thing I ever directed. Oh wait, no. Is that was the one with you and Worf, wasn't it? Yes,
You're talking about Looking for Paramount.
Yeah, what I remember was sheer terror.
Oh my gosh!
Was sheer terror because they had this huge set that they had built for the previous show. And they decided, well, we gotta, we spent so much money in this set. Let's use it. We'll use it for the show that Andy's directing. So, and this huge set takes a lot of time to light. And so, on the very first day, I fell half a day behind shooting, and I panicked. I thought, oh my God, because it was the first thing I'd ever directed. So it was sheer panic. And I eventually kind of recovered and got through it. And it's not a bad episode. Although I know I've told this story before. But you and Michael wouldn't kiss. Do you remember that? You were wrestling around. And
is this the one where he was into somebody else and then I wrestled him and said, "No, you're mine," kind of thing?
That's right.
Yes.
And then, I remember after we finished shooting, Rick Berman and Ira called me up into their office and they read me the riot act. You can't have a romance where they don't kiss. And I said, well, that's true. But if you have two actors who won't kiss, and after a while, I'm so paranoid about. Oh, you don't remember any of this?
I don't remember any of.
I would do take after take after take, and now in this take, could you guys kiss, please? Oh yeah, sure. And then you did your whole thing, and you didn't fucking kiss.
Were we fucking with you?
I think you. No, not with me. With each other.
With each other.
You guys had something that was going on. You and Dorn, that I had no idea what it was. But I had to move on. I said, okay, so they don't kiss. I didn't think it was a big deal until Ira and Berman, had a shit fit.
Well, did it say in the script that we kiss?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Because that's when you guys finally,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's okay.
I don't trust him.
It's okay. I know. You were so ambivalent about him. I understand. But you did marry him.
Well, Dax did.
All right, we're going to save that for a different panel, I think.
And then just a quick follow-up.
We got to go, unfortunately. We got to wrap up. But,
okay.
You want to go ahead?
No, I'm done.
We got to wait. Do we do it to wrap up? Because you have another panel coming right in after this. But yeah, I do want to say thank you, Terry. Thank you, Andrew, for being here.
Thank you.
Terry Farrell and Andrew Robinson. Thanks for checking out this episode of Trek Untold and for enjoying one of my panels during Trek Long Island 2025. If you want to stay up to date on everything that Trek Untold is doing, go ahead and follow us on social media at Trek Untold, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, pretty much all the different places. If you're in a position to financially support this podcast, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/TrekUntold. There are several tiers where you can offer your financial support to the show and help keep the warp core going at full steam, or I guess full optimization. We're not going to inject any warp cores here, but we're going to keep going at full speed. If you want to stay up to date with Trek Long Island, visit treklongisland.com to see what's going on with them. We've got basically a full year from when this podcast is dropping to when the next show is going to be, which will now be in mid-June 2026. We've already announced one headliner, and by the way, that's the Na Visitor. So stay tuned on Trek Long Island's social media feeds or their website for more information on who else is going to be coming in 26. And until next time, I'm Matthew Kaplowitz. This has been Trek Untold. Thanks for watching, and remember, fortune favors the bold.
Trek Untold, the Star Trek podcast that goes beyond the stars, is powered by the Rageworks Podcast Network and affiliated with Nerd News Today.